this team's dreams get crushed if you don't beat Florida State this weekend?
That's not how it works. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that's true. As it stands today, if everybody else stayed like it is, and maybe, but that's not. I don't look at this as a fatalistic, situation. I think it's a great opportunity. Last week was a great opportunity too, though, and I've been fortunate to have a lot of success for a long time, and I believe wholeheartedly in the method of, be here now, take care of now, control what you can control, and everything else takes care of itself. And so, I don't put more, there's no more at stake this week than there was last week. I don't know if that's special. I do understand that if you win this week, then you've secured the division title. But what good does that do if, all of a sudden you go up to Syracuse and you get waxed by them? So, there's a process in how you have consistent success, and I just believe in structure and consistency and respect to the game. I think that we slopped around at times last week defensively because I don't think that all of our guys respected the game. And some of the success that NC State had was because of them. You got to give them credit sometimes too. But some of the lack of precision was because I don't think that we necessarily respected the game and the process and how you play at a high level. But so, I've been here, done that many times, and I say that very humbly. That this is I feel just like I did last week. It's like, okay, here's this team. This is what they do. How do you defend it? And then you put a plan together, and we do as a staff, and just go to work. And when you get out of that realm, I firmly believe that you're setting yourself up for failure, for sure failure. But I don't look at that fatalistic attitude. Oh my God, if you don't win, it's just everything's done, you have no chance or whatever. I don't ever look at that. And I think if you do, I think it I don't know. I think it builds up too much anxiety for everybody. I don't know. It's a great stage, and that's why I came to Clemson. I believe that Clemson will be in this kind of position for a long time, and I wanted to be a part of it. And but you're going to get everybody's best shot when you're at a place like Clemson, and just like if we would have lost to Notre Dame, oh my gosh, But now they're talking Notre Dame lost, and Notre Dame's still quote unquote in it, whatever in it means. And so I don't know. Alabama, they lost to Ole Miss, got kicked all over the field against Ole Miss, and everybody's they're done. It's just, and that's exciting. That builds up all the drama. I get that, and but I don't really live in that. My son, I got one son, a young son. He's like, oh my God, they got us ranked 4th. What are we gonna do? Pump the brakes, Hot Rod. We got this. You just gotta win. And if we don't win, then you don't deserve it. That's how I look at it. That doesn't mean all of a sudden you're not worth you're not worth anything as a team or or a coach or a player. It's just the way it is sometimes. So anyway.
Coach, when you guys did FSU, last year you guys did a really good job with those guys. Do you see anything different this year as far as personnel and whether?
Well, I mean, they've obviously they've lost some guys, but they've recruited very well. So their schemes are similar in some ways, and they've tweaked a few things. Dalvin Cook is as good as there is at any position in the country. A dynamic football player, can do it all, can score every time he touches the ball. They're creative in varying ways in which they get him the ball, both running and the throwing game. Just both quarterbacks. The quarterback McGuire's. There's 2 starts, and he's passed for 10,000 yards in 2 starts. He's done very well. Did well against us last year, and did well last week. Looks very comfortable. And then Golson's, dynamic in his own ways. Is both a runner and a thrower, and has had, ultra success on the big stage as well. But they got big, long, fast receivers, big athletic offensive line, and so they present all kinds of challenges.
Anytime there's a close game, it comes down to a couple of plays. You ever been part of a loss that was so vivid in those 3 or 4 plays that so drastically swayed momentum?
Well, I mean, that was a tough one. We had our chances, and we just weren't good enough, and didn't get the stops when we needed. Gave up an explosive play for a touchdown, and they got us on our heels in the second half a little bit. And heck of a game, though. Heck of a game, heck of an environment, and we just weren't quite good enough that day. Made too many mistakes. They made the plays when they had to. We couldn't get a stop when we needed to, and it goes to overtime. And so, but I loved, you look back on that game, and I guess we had lost 2. What is that? 1-2 on the year at that time, and then did we lose it? We lost again, right?
Once Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, right. And then, of course, we've won whatever we've won, 17 of 18 or whatever it's been, something like that. So we didn't let it crush us, either. So handling, adversity and failure along the way I think is pivotal, and I think that's a great lesson, when people count you out. That's part you play and coach long enough, you're going to have some of those kind of games. So
The Green touchdown, just a matter of McKenzie losing his footing?
that's a matter of trying to help him, need to help him on 2nd and 20, dumb call. So good player making a really good play, and McKenzie, whatever his issues were, really have nothing to do with it, other than being in a tough call.
How's the team as far as health-wise going into the game, defensive guys?
I think everybody's just trying to think through. Everybody's good.
Jabril Robinson.
Oh, I don't know. He's about 6 guy anyway, so I don't think he's back yet.
Coach Sweeney says Dalvin Cook's the best running back in America. He had averaged over 8 yards a carry. What makes him so special? What challenges he present for your team?
He's fast and good balance, strong, got good instincts, plays with runs with power, good pace to him, very competitive, brings a lot to their team as far as leadership and confidence as well. But he's a home run back for sure. But I think it's averaging 8 yards a carry. And he blocks, he protects. I mean, it does it well. He'll knock somebody on the ground in protection, and then he'll turn around and catch the football on a check down and run it for 40, And that's very typical on any particular drive. You can find those kinds of plays. So he can do it all.
Coach Sweeney mentioned earlier today that no matter who the quarterback is, FSU's offense runs the same. But are there any little things about the 2 guys that concern you?
Well, I mean, they move the pocket with both guys. McGuire's a good athlete. It all concerns you just, from a scheme and structural standpoint. They got good players, around them. But, Golson is a little bit more athletic, and but they'll run the option with both and run the boot plays and the sprint outs and all that with both too. So it really is the same.
Guys talked about one unit picking up the other. A lot of times when you guys picking up the offense, 2 years ago against these guys, it seemed like things kind of snowballed both ways. Has there been kind of a tangible change you've seen in the program where maybe guys have each other back a little differently than 2 years ago in terms of offense, defense, that kind of thing?
I don't know. I didn't ever see it offense, defense, and we may not have been worth a flip, but I've always held the team concept in high regard and have never been a part of where I felt it was, this is an offensive team. I don't live in that world. Even when we stunk on defense, I still think it's a team game, and you complement each other. and I think the best teams do that consistently. And so, you know, we were horrible, you know, 2 years ago here, both sides of the ball, you know, point blank, and they kicked us all over the place. So, you know, we're a little bit better on defense than we were then, but you turn the ball over and let people run it and let people, you know, get behind you, you know, that's a recipe for disaster, no matter what your team makeup is. So,
In the scheme of talking about team, do you see it as just as a coach, the effect that Deshaun's leadership has on the total team? Do you feel that during the week and then into the game? Because we see what he does on the field.
yeah, you know, during the week you kind of get in your own little world, so you really, but I've got a lot of confidence. I think the really successful teams have that leadership on offense, and Deshaun certainly brings that. We had it with Taj as well, and but I think we've got good leadership, and it starts with Deshaun. I think, you know, he's got a lot of confidence, humility, and guys feed off of that. And I think they got a really good cohesion and chemistry, and that's always developed. That isn't inherited from year to year. Every year's, regardless of the returning players, it has to be developed, and that takes some time. And sometimes it happens sooner rather than later. I prefer just to get a little bit stronger and stronger as the year goes on, but I think you're seeing that the last few weeks of that everything kind of coming together. But success kind of breeds that confidence and pulls out leadership as well. And I think you're seeing, you know, the end product of that right now.
And it comes in different hues too. I mean, Taj did it differently than
Sure.
Deshaun does it.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree.
You mentioned that you're in your own world, but will you give attention or credence to the playoff rankings tonight when they come out?
No. Yeah. No. We got a chance. You know, we just got to win. You know, that's the bottom line. Sometimes I think it's been proven that you win, and even then you're still on the outside looking in for whatever reason. And, you know, I don't get all emotionally caught up in stuff that I have no control over. I really don't. I spend zero time on that, you know. So, because it just doesn't make you better. It can be a distraction if you allow it to be. And I don't know. I don't get caught up in it. But that's just a profession. I'm on this side of it professionally and have been for a long time. That you just control your own, you know. You can control the things you can control. That's it. And just like you kind of develop that mindset on defense, no matter, you know, your back's against the wall, you know, you put the ball on the one, you know, you got to have this certain mindset, and so you don't all of a sudden change that. So.
Your son will let you know where you stand.
Yeah, he's first one to tell you, you know, what's the deal? What's the problem here? We're getting screwed. He starts hating other teams, and you are way over the top here.
Do you like from a coaching standpoint, I know it's only been a year, but were you glad to see the playoff format as opposed to the BCS format?
I don't know. I like the bowl system. I always thought there was an innocence with the bowl system. I know it's still in place. I don't like having this. I was never caught up in them. You got to have this ultimate champion, you know, proven. I liked a little bit of, you know, we're the champ. No, you were the champ, and you know, if y'all would have played us, yeah, I would prefer. You know, I'm for whatever system that we have, but I would prefer more opportunities for a few more teams. I've always, everybody here probably agrees, you love March Madness because I think it just people, and I loved watching Ohio State navigate their journey. They, I think, went in as a late edition 4th seed, and they just got hot, and that was pretty cool. I liked that, and so from watching that 1 year, I liked that part of it. But I was for the other system too, you know, because that was the system that we had. But I don't. The one part is I don't want it. I'm afraid, and it probably will get to that, is that you have this again fatalistic where outlook, everybody's, if we didn't make the playoffs, then everybody was terrible coaching and playing, and I think that's kind of what you got to be careful what you wish for, because college athletics, and again, I'm all for a national champion being crowned and all those kind of things, but I think there's a lot of success along the way that potentially could be undermined with just the one true champion format. So I don't know.
As a defensive coordinator, it's great to win a game 58-0, but when your defense gives up 41 points, can there be value in that heading into a Florida State game? It's not always
Value.
I know you didn't like giving up 41, but can there be some value in that coming into this game?
All right, so the competitive side is, all right, we had a bunch of defensive guys on kickoff. Okay, I'm going to 34s for the defense. Okay, the 7s for all you meatheads that were on that coverage team, and the meathead coaches that coached it. Because they're different entities. And then I look at, okay, how did it happen? And so I've got a perspective on it. We were too sloppy in some areas. I think some of our better guys did not have their better games, and that's a byproduct of us as coaches not getting them ready. But there's really, 3 plays, 4 plays that you'd like to that I don't think are reflective of how we played through a good part of this year, and that you'd love to have that are issues for you, but they're super correctable. So they did not consistently move the ball on us. Again, I'm in a little bit defense mode, still a little bit teed off about some of the things that transpired, but we're really good in a number of areas, whether it be 3rd or 4th down or being disruptive, tackles for loss, sacks. We were too sloppy. Should have had a few more sacks rather, and then gave up 3 explosive plays in particular. Again, I said it afterwards. I didn't have as much of a problem with Cordray's, the 1-play touchdown there, because I thought he was in a very competitive position, and they made a terrific play. You live with that. But not being in your gaps, they had a 60-plus yarder, 40-plus yarder. We're just not in the gap. It's not like Jim Brown went running through there and smoked a couple guys and just embarrassed your defense. They just embarrassed you because we weren't where we're supposed to be. And then they had the throwback for 40 yards for a touchdown, and we're just not being very disciplined, and that's discouraging. But I got a perspective on it. Again, if they just went unwillingly up and down the field, they got their points, but just try to keep a perspective, whether it's a short field or what exactly happened, try to keep a perspective on it. And we still got a good defense, and we need to play better, more consistently. And but I think a lot of guys do. I think they're very prideful. I know that our meetings weren't real joyful, like they were a week ago after 58-0, and sometimes that's, again, I think we showed a lack of maturity in handling some success, and we weren't way extreme, but just a few guys is all it takes. And again, sometimes that's easy to blame it on that too. We just got to be better on a few plays, and that starts with us as coaches getting them to play better. So anyway. I thought we had a very focused group of meetings yesterday, and a very focused, humble group that went to work last night, and they understand that you're fortunate. You're a little bit sloppy. You play a good team. They get hot. They make a few plays. You give up a kickoff return, another one all the way down to your 30. That's a recipe for losing. And I think they value that. Okay, I think, did we win by 3 scores? Huh? 15. So we won by 15. They feel fortunate to have come out with a W. I told the guys on that field on Friday's walkthrough, if we win 58-57, then great. Sometimes you got to win that way. I said that. And I said, when we get back, I'm going to get on the top of that stadium and jump off. And lo and behold, whatever it was, 41. What did we win? What was the score? So
See you live.
I'm not jumping, but I got a perspective on how it happened. But anyways, sometimes that happens. That's part of the journey. You know, I've had the good fortune to have played, coached rather, in 4 national championships, and all 4 of those years, there's always those games here and there, you know, where you didn't play your best, but sometimes you got to get lucky. You got to, you know, you win differently. Coach said it right, you know, putting lipstick on a pig, it all still counts the same. It really does. And a lot of times those are good moments during the season that you learn and you grow from. And it's just the dose of what you need at the right time, you know, to get your mind back right. So I would much rather win 58-0 every single week. It's all good when that happens, but that's living in la la land. So.
Scheme-wise, what does Florida State do to attack defenses?
Well, they run it effectively, and they throw it over the top. They can throw a lot of the intermediate game well. They do a lot of different personnel groups, utilizing their different skill sets of, you know, both their big and their 4 wide, 5 wide personnel. So they kind of do a little bit of everything. And I think last week is really one of their best games they've played. They're kind of, you know, playing well at the right time, despite not having a few of their guys. So, you know, Coach Fisher and their staff have had incredible success. They've been in the playoff the last 2 years. They know how to win. They know how to get ready, and they've had great success here against us. So all of it creates, you know, challenges, both scheme and, you know, coaching, strategy, all of that.
BJ Goodson got a lot of praise after last week's game. What has he done to just improve and get to where
Super
he's at?
comfortable, you know, playing like he's a very instinctual player. He's got good intelligence. He's really invested a lot thus far into the season, week to week. He's investing in how you get to the end result. You know, he's not really worried about getting the end result. You know, he's worried about today and what I can do, and he's been very consistent about it. He's playing very confidently and very fast, and I think you're seeing a big, athletic, instinctual, downhill player really making a big difference for us. He played really well last week, and he has really the last few weeks. And sometimes that shows up in the stat sheet, and sometimes it doesn't, but he's been really playing well.
All good? All right.
All right, yep, you got it. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.